let's talk about our topic today. People are quiet quitting. People are just they're quitting, but they're not letting the folks that are depending on them know that they're quitting. In the workplace, a lot of people have been kind of like they're working to the contract. In other words, if you're supposed to work 40 hours, I'm not going to work 40 hours in 1 second. If my job is to sweep the floor, I'm not going to wash a single window. I don't care how dirty it gets. If I'm a contractor, I'm going to do exactly to the hours, to the work. And there's going to be no mission creep, no change of scope. So this is called quiet quitting. But some people have taken this, so that's how it affects people in the workplace, in the job. But what if you are a business owner? Or are you quiet quitting? Have you gotten to that point where you're just about burnout? You're like, if one more person calls me today, or you say, if they call me, I'm going to go work exactly to the number of hours that this job has actually been contracted for. If you have a retainer, if you have like a la carte job, you say, I'm not going to do one task, lift one finger beyond what I was contracted to do. We call that the quiet quitting. And some people are doing it not because they are they feel like they're tired. They're just tired of being in business. But let me tell you this, there is a cost. That's collateral damage when you decide to go out of business. You can't just decide tomorrow, I'm out of here. Because what happens, we spend money, time, resources to galvanize, to solicit, to bring people into our business sphere environment. And some people drop what they were doing. They may have dropped the service they were using before you came along. They may have made some type of sacrifice to support you. And then you decide to quit on them. Now, what is causing this? Okay, why are people doing that? Well, for one, there's many fathers of this particular problem. There's this obsession that we have to start a business. And like I said earlier, I am one of the biggest advocates for starting a business. But sometimes you're dealing with things like injustice, you're dealing with things like racism and nepotism on the job. You're dealing with things like age discrimination, the economy, the desire for independence, the inflation, and this misinformation that if you go out here and try it and it doesn't work, well, nobody gets hurt. That's what's driving this obsession to start a business. And I want people to start a business. Don't get me wrong. And a business doesn't have to mean you have to set up a shingle and a shop. You can do side businesses. You can do franchise. You can do online courses. But when you do it, you have to commit to it. Don't do it nilly-willy. Now, who helps drive us into these? Who drive us to the decision? Sometimes our family and friends, they're rooting for us. Hey, go out here and start a business. You don't have to take that. Then we have these social justice warriors like myself telling people to go out here and start a business, and that's going to be the panacea of everything wrong in the world. And then you have some of these consultants out here that are just doing it for the wrong reason. They're self-serving. And so there are different reasons why people go out here and start a business and then decide to quit, leaving people hanging high and dry. The victims are your stakeholders. If you start a company and you're not serious and you don't plan to stick it out, the victims are your stakeholders. That's your customers, your employees, your staff, the community, vendors, suppliers. When you decide to open that little restaurant or that grocery store, you probably had to bid or negotiate, and that it was only room for one. And you decided to come in and fill that spot. That means somebody else didn't fill that spot, and now there's going to be a vacuum in the community because now there's no grocery store. You have what we call food desert because somebody decided to get in this without thinking it through. And now you don't have a supermarket in your neighborhood. Investors, partners, all of these people who have put their stock in you, you told them, you gave them your word that you were in this business for the long haul, and now you decide to quit and give it up. Of course, you can't just go out here and keep a business going if it's not making you any money. But let's take this old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Plan before you take this leap. Do a business plan. Do a SWOT analysis. Are you suited for this position? Learn, and learn. Find out about this business you're about to get into. Do you have the right mindset to be a business owner? Just because you're a good plumber doesn't mean you're going to be a good business owner. Some people are just not built to be a business owner. It doesn't mean they're less intelligent or less qualified for their trade. They may not have that entrepreneurial gene. Do your marketing. I know I sound self-serving when I say this, but that's going to be one of the number one reasons businesses fail, that and not having the right funding. Market. And marketing is not just about running an ad. You drop $5 on Facebook. Well, if I've advertised, it didn't work, let me close up. Marketing is about strategy, understanding who your audience is. Go back and listen to those 10 commandments of marketing, and you will realize that maybe you may be only doing one or two of them. If that's the case, you're probably going to fail. You're not taking this business thing very serious. What is your mission and your purpose? Do you have one? Before you take this plunge and leave people hanging high and dry, make sure your business is tied to something other than to make money. It needs to be tethered in a purpose and a mission. Do something for society. And you got to have some money. I hate to say it, but now you've heard me talk about this several times on this show, and you're going to hear me talk about it more. And the reason is because it is so foundational and powerful and should be a part of your marketing strategy. Now, social proof is a phenomenon that says when people are not sure what to do, they look to others for the correct behavior in any given situation. They assume that people around them have more knowledge about the situation than they do. So this principle goes like this. If I'm not certain what to do, I will take a cue from others. If other people are doing something, then it must be okay for me to do it too. If other people are not doing something or refraining from doing something, then I should probably refrain as well. That is the whole concept of social proof. If you're not sure how it works, just walk outside your door, walk outside your office, stand there for about 2 or 3 minutes, staring up in the sky. About 10, 15 minutes, you're going to have about 15, 20, 30 people standing there staring up in the sky with you. That's how social media works in a nutshell. Now, the degree of social proof, and I know some people say, look, nobody influences me. I'm my own person. I'm my own man. I'm my own woman. Well, we all are influenced to some degree, even if we don't admit it. Just look at the labels on your body. I mean, are you wearing a label, a brand label? Probably. Are you driving a Mercedes-Benz or Harley-Davidson? Do you have an iPhone? Whether you believe it or not, you are probably under the influence of social media to some extent. Now, the factors that determine the degree, one is the number of people who are performing the behavior. That's where that crowd side comes in. If a lot of folks doing it or just 1 or 2 people doing it, the larger the group, the more likely you are to be influenced. Take it a step further. How similar to you are the people who are performing this behavior? So if you're out there performing, if you see a large crowd of people and you look at them, they look like you. They could be your race, your height. They could be your fraternity. They could be in your church, your religion. The more people in that large group that you can relate to, the more likely you are going to be influenced as well. Then here's where it gets tricky. What is the level of ambiguity? I mean, how difficult is that decision? Let's just say if you saw 2 people land on a railroad track and you said, well, shoot, I don't want to do that. But let's just say you saw somebody running across the track and they said, I can beat this train. And everybody else was racing across and you said, well, if they can make it, I can probably make it too. That's not too ambiguous. But if you decide to lay on the track just because the other people are doing it, that becomes an ambiguous situation. So the 3 levels are the size, which we call the scale, the similarity, and the ambiguity. So this social proof is some powerful stuff. If you want to talk about how it works, who's using it, think about McDonald's. Think about Facebook. Facebook built an entire ecosystem based on social proof. Matter of fact, social media was based upon this very same concept that I'm talking about today, social proof. McDonald's used to say 4 billion sold. That was social proof. Okay, you see the tip jar. When you go to somebody they're performing, the first they put $1 in the jar to get the people started because they know people don't want to be the first. They would do what they see others do. Harley Davidson, Nike, all of these companies have built their organizations on this concept called social proof. Now, the 5 categories of social proof, I'm going to go quickly through these. The first one addresses that crowd size, the wisdom of the crowd. That is the approval from large groups of other people. That's the main one. That's one of the big ones. Another one is the wisdom of your friends. You assume that large crowds must know what to do because they're doing it in such numbers. The second group is called the wisdom of your friends, the people that you know. What are they doing? Then there's the expert social proof. What are the experts saying? What do they suggest or recommend? Then there's celebrity social proof. We've seen that manifest itself currently during this digital age. Influencers. That's where influencers come in. Also, user social proof. We call these the folks that are doing the testimonies. That's why you have places like Yelp and reviews and so forth. They are using social proof. Now, how can you use social proof in your company? First one, I call it the poor man's version of social proof. Testimonies and case studies. Put testimonies on everything you do when you advertise. Your website, your social media platforms, your e-commerce. Use testimonies. Users. That is the number one way that the average person can take advantage of social proof. Reviews, in your social media, shares, likes, engagement. That is called using social proof to promote your service and products. Celebrity endorsements. When I do media buying for my clients, what I try to get them to do is to use a media person, a celebrity or somebody who's well known to promote their product. I do a lot of media buying on SiriusXM and other platforms. And somebody like, for instance, Joe Madison, I would try to get him to read the ad because he has a lot of influence. And so using celebrities and endorsements are a great way to use social proof. Another way is to use statistics. Like McDonald's used to use the 4 billion served. On your website, you can talk about how many people are using the service. Use those statistics, and that will help engender social proof for your service. All right, folks, we're coming to the end here.